All right. Hi, Susan Norwell here. I'm going to see if I can do, let's see, how many books? Three, five, six, seven. 7 books in less than 15 minutes because I'm trying to make my lessons short. I'm not even doing a PowerPoint on this one. I'm just flying. So here's the question. Literacy for Life. How do you pick a good book? How do you know a book is going to capture a certain kiddo's attention? And what are some general rules about like what books I pick? Because I'm usually pretty good, I have to say, about getting the right book in there to get their interest. I have a couple of times where I bomb, but not too often. All right. Here's some of my favorites. Piggy and Gerald books. Now, for a young reader, these are great because you can model a lot of core words. I cannot wait. Not wait. I not. Cannot. And there's a lot of repetition in the book. Now, the other good thing about these books, I have some kids that have some visual issues. They're having trouble processing. Look at how uncluttered this page is. You can really see Gerald. You can really see Piggy. And for those kids who love Peppa Pig, you might just get their attention. So, I highly recommend any of the Piggy and Gerald books. I haven't read one that I do not love, love, love. And who doesn't? Who doesn't like waiting? I hate to wait. Waiting is not easy is a great theme for just about everybody. Okay, I'm already behind. All right. Now, the alien books. I think somebody in England, oh, maybe it was Callie. Somebody in England said, you got to read this book. Aliens in Underpants Save the World. There's aliens love underpants. There's aliens in dino pants. There's monsters that love underpants. And I will tell you, particularly if you're working with little boys, there's nothing better than saying the word underpants because they think it's really funny. And the other great thing about this book is, oh my gosh, look at these graphics. Again, not so cluttered. The main focus is really, really big so that you can see it, and it rhymes. Quick, down to earth, the alien shot and jumped out with a shout. There's a little poetic license there. No time to lose if Earth blows up. Our pants supply runs out. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The fire engines came racing, police and air rescue too. But with just 4 hours till impact, there was little they could do. Ooh, rhyming, great pictures, and it appeals to boys and to girls, which is important. Baghead. Not sure you've ever read Baghead before. This is my second copy. My other one fell apart because I read it so often. It's a little boy who goes to school with a bag on his head. You want a chance to model questions? Why? Why does he have a bag on his head? And every single time somebody thinks they have the reason as to why, like he's trying to get out of doing his book report. Wait a minute. There's his teacher. Did you forget to do your book report? Kid's like, no, I didn't forget to do my book report. I'm going to get up with my bag on my head and I'm going to do the book report. Dad asks him if it's crazy hat day. Dad says, no. And we finally get to the place in the book, but I'm not going to tell you, where somebody asks him that question of why, and you find out why our friend is wearing a bag on his head. Great story. Now, if you don't know Helen Lester, then you got to get into the library or onto Amazon, which is my favorite library these days, and find books by Helen Lester. She is hysterical. This is called It Wasn't My Fault. And if you look down here, Myrtle Gertson, I mean, come on, with a name like that, can't you just laugh the whole way through the book? Myrtle Gertson ends up with an egg on his head. And he's the kind of kid where everything is his fault. You know, he only drops expensive vases. He cannot manage the toothpaste. And this tale is great because there's this great sequence of things that happen that lead up to the end. And it's funny. Plus, it has an aardvark in it. Have you ever read a book with an aardvark in it? You got to read this one. All right. I got to tell you that I have some kids, hard to believe, I have some kids that I work with that are not exactly easy to engage. I got the toughest kid that I have on my caseload leaning forward in her chair to have me read A Bad Case of Stripes. Now, I have to tell you, it is not very often that anybody wakes up looking like this girl. It's It's a pretty funny story, but with a deeper message. A deeper message. I like reading it to my teenagers. My little like almost tweeners, but my teenagers. Because this girl has a little problem with doing and being who she'd like to be versus what other people think she should be. Ah, Bad Case of the Stripes. Great story. Love it. All right, now, when you have kids, and this has got a lot of text, lots of text. So this is not for your child, your kiddo, your student. Look at that page. This is not for the kiddo who's like in a big hurry for you to keep turning the page, turn the page, turn the page, turn the page. They like them short and sweet. This one is a little bit longer. I had one of my girls, oh, it's like so funny. We got halfway through it, and I had to stop, and she was like, not stop, on her talker, not stop, go, more. I mean, she was like really upset with me because I stopped in the middle. That's a good book. All right, you want to grab any of the Tacky books. These are great books for kids who are just starting to move from like a Gerald and Piggy and into maybe a little bit more of a story in their book. These are great stories. Tacky, there's like 10 of these books, 15 of these books. Tacky is an odd bird, but he's a good bird to have. You know, I work with a bunch of kids who are different in many ways. And it is always great to read a book where the character that is the most different always comes out on top. So not only is Tacky fun and the books are funny, but it is really cool to see the underdog be the hero. Bedhead. I don't know how many of you have ever even heard of this book, but Bedhead is like one of the funniest stories. Again, slightly older kids who can put up with a little bit more of the text, but it's a story about a boy who gets out of bed with the worst case of bedhead you can ever imagine. I will give you one little hint as to how bad this bedhead is. And at the back of his head, there was one tiny clump of hair way at the back of his head that looked just like a cat's coughed up fur ball. Now that is a bad bedhead. See what happens when he gets to school. I won't tell you any more than that. All right. This is a great story. I was first turned on to this story because I read 3 Cups of Tea. It's about a man who is climbing K2 and he gets injured. He ends up being taken care of by some shaman in Pakistan, and he starts to understand. That the women in Pakistan don't go to school, and his mission is to build schools. Now, this is a story based on the area where he was in, which is called Peshawar, which is a refugee camp. Now, I find for some of my older kiddos, it's really good to bring in current events, but in a story format. And so this is called 4 Feet, 2 Sandals. Now, right away, the title makes you really think. It's like, wait a minute, we got 4 feet, we only got 2 sandals. What the heck is this going to be about? It introduces children to the fact that, children, teens, young adults, it introduces them to the fact that not everybody lives like we do in America, but in a lovely story format. A story about caring, about generosity, about sharing when you have nothing. Which I think is always a great message. So pardon me for the phone call in the middle, but this is Susan Norwell's book recommendation for the week. I will tell you that if you don't love a story, don't tell it to anybody. Because if you don't love it, they're not going to love it. And I can usually tell by flipping through a book, looking for certain authors, that this is a story that is just going to catch them. And that's what I want to happen. I want them to catch the story so that they want to talk about it. I have an ulterior motive. I want them talking about books, but they're not going to talk about books that are boring. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in to Rett You. Thanks for listening to my lesson. And hopefully you'll have some fun picking out books for your kiddos or your students. Thanks. Bye-bye.